streets are talking. You are now listening to The Box Out, Tri-State area basketball talk at its best. And now your hosts, Kahlil Thomas and Jason Cordner. Let's get it.
NJ2BK in the world. This is The Box Out here on the One Podcast Network YouTube channel. My name is Kahlil Thomas. Joining me in just a few minutes will be Jason Cordner from Brooklyn, New York. And we will start tonight. We've been off a couple weeks. We wanted to let the NBA season simmer a little bit, not talk too much about it early. We've also been tired. That's why we took time off. So we're about 2 weeks in, 8-9 games in a piece for each team. We'll talk about the in-season tournament in a second because I'm still against it completely. But we'll get to that in a second. But we're going to start tonight. Our opening tip is going to be with the LA Lakers. And listen, going into the season, a lot of people had the Lakers as favorites to win the title. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what they're watching. But you had LeBron, you had AD. They re-signed D'Angelo Russell to a deal that honestly is good, where they signed him almost with the intention of trading him at some point. The contract they signed him to was so friendly for a trade. I feel like they kind of did it on purpose. They picked up Rui Hachimura. They brought him back. Cam Reddish brought back Austin Reeves. So they made a lot of moves this season. Everyone assumed that they would compete early. Now, here's the thing. Early in the season when they started pretty well. AD was playing about 40 minutes a game. LeBron was playing about 38, 39 minutes a game. You knew deep down that was going to last because AD was going to get hurt, as he is now, and LeBron's old as hell. So at some point, those bodies are going to break down. AD, obviously, is the first one to break down. He's out. I believe it was a hip or a groin. He missed last night's game against Houston, which we'll get to in a second. So now you're down to LeBron. And to be blunt, a bunch of dudes. That's what the Lakers are right now. It's LeBron. It's LeBron in Cleveland all over again right now. Without AD, LeBron is on Cleveland circa 2009. Remember LeBron was in Cleveland? It was him and a bunch of other players who were just kind of there for the ride. At this point, you look at their roster, that's what you have, unless you're depending on Austin Reeves to score 20 a game, which isn't going to happen. Or depending on D'Angelo Russell to score 20 a game, which is probably going to happen, but he'll have to take 30 shots to do it. Or you're expecting Cam Reddish to score 20 points a game, which he hasn't done in 2 years. Blame Tom Thibodeau of the Knicks for that. Christian Wood, he had one game this year where you thought, you know what? That was the Christian Wood we saw years back. Maybe that Christian Wood, before he took that contract in Detroit, the Houston Christian Wood, maybe they'll get him. 21 minutes last night, 0 points. So the problem becomes you have to keep AD healthy, because if AD is playing, he's going to play a lot of minutes. So you got to keep him healthy, one. You got to keep LeBron healthy, two. And you somehow have to tailor their minutes and almost try to keep them as fresh as humanly possible on a team that, honestly, without either one of them, is at best an 8 or a 9 seed in the Western Conference. With how good the West is, without a constant LeBron AD presence, the Lakers are in a they're a playing team. The Lakers are a playing team at this very moment. As is. You're waiting for the AD injury, you got it. You're waiting for LeBron to wear down. And listen, it's 8 games in. For someone who's played 20 years in the league, LeBron does not look and feel like a 20-year vet. But he is a 20-year vet who is going to wear down eventually. And here's the issue. Their next 5 games, they play Phoenix, Portland, Memphis, Sacramento, then Portland again. After the Portland game, they play Houston again in a rematch from last night. Of these 6 games, the Lakers could win 4. I think the game's a loss. Even though Memphis looks like complete trash, I would say Memphis probably beat them as well. So of those 6 games I just mentioned, the Lakers could win 4. They can go 4-2 of those 6 games. The question is, can they? How bad is AD's injury? Can LeBron hold it together? LeBron only had 18 points last night against Houston. He's going to do a whole lot more than that in order for this team to compete on the regular, no matter what. That's going to be the problem for LA. when you start hitting that tough stretch, when you start seeing the Phoenixes more, when you start seeing Utah, Dallas, Denver's, when you hit those games, I think you're going to see a divide. The Lakers played Denver really, really tough in the Western Conference Finals last year. They did. A little bit different team. They're going to need AD to play Jokic. AD played up on Jokic in the playoffs and showed that when the time comes, AD can play the 5. AD does not want to play the 5 consistently. I think against Jokic in Denver, I think part of it was they needed him to, and part of it was he wanted to play the 5. He wanted to go head up with Nikola Jokic. He's going to do that more and more because if you look at their roster right now, Jackson Hayes, you could play Jarrett Vanderbilt at the 5. I wouldn't suggest it, but he's only 6'8". You really don't have a lot of size. Taurean Prince could play the 5 if you go really, really, really small. LeBron could play the 5, but you don't want LeBron to play the 5 if you don't need to. So their only real option at the center position is going to be Anthony Davis down the stretch last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. As I said, he does not want to play the 5 at all. At any cost, he does not want to play the center position. He's going to have to on his team. Jackson Hayes is good for 10 minutes. If you give Jackson Hayes any more than 10 minutes, he's going to screw something up. He's probably going to pick up 3 fouls, turn the ball over 4 times, dunk once, do the too small thing, and then you got to sit him down. So Anthony Davis playing 40 minutes, that's their future. LeBron playing 39, 40 minutes, that is their future. The hope is that teams don't go, AD's going to get his, LeBron's going to get his, let them do their thing. Let's shut down Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Cam Reddish, Achimura when he wants to shoot the ball well, Christian Wood when he comes in and decides he wants to play well. It's going to be like Jordan and Pippen back with the Bulls. A lot of teams let Jordan do his thing. Everyone knew Jordan was going to get his 30 points no matter what. Everyone knew Pippen was going to hit his 25, 12, and 5 no matter what. You let them cook, but we're shutting everybody else down. We're going to shut down Paxson. We're going to shut down Longley. We're going to shut down everybody else, but let them get theirs. As I bring in Jason Corner from Brooklyn, New York. Jay, happy birthday, bro.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
So how old are you now?
I'm old, man. I'm up there, 46.
46, damn.
Yeah.
I saw Kevin Hart. I'm sorry. Goddamn. Yeah, but happy birthday, man. What'd you do? What'd you do for your birthday?
Just relaxed, went out to eat, the wife, and just chill. Watch Victor sting up the joint like I was texting you.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a second. I'm going to start with the Lakers. Like, this is ESPN First Take, starting with the Lakers.
Of course.
Listen, 3-5, 80's out already. LeBron only had 18 points. They got, and I was waiting for you to come on, the game last night, and obviously I was watching Knicks and Victor and, keeping up with that stuff, and the Nets. The Lakers lost to Houston 128-94. LeBron had 18. That's the only noteworthy point of this game, of that game. Right. Can they recover? Because I feel like they started playing AD so many minutes. They had to play LeBron so many minutes. And then you really don't have Austin Reeves has kind of been streaky. D'Angelo Russell, you know what you get from him. What is it about them that just doesn't work right now?
Listen, it's bad when Cam Reddish is taking the game-winning shot. That should tell you everything you know about the Lakers. I think it's one of those things where they have to figure this thing out. I think they're a little overrated going into the season anyway, because once LeBron...
I blame you because that was one of your 7 teams.
Yep. You are right about that. And I just feel like if LeBron's not going, we know AD is not Mr. Reliable. We know he's Mr. Glass. Mm-hmm. Then you're really lacking that third option where, maybe you thought Reeves would have took a step up. And but I don't think he has it in him, and everything else is pretty much a band of misfits. So it's in a competitive Western Conference. I don't know. I don't want to say this over for the Lakers, but it's going to be an uphill battle just to be a top 4 seed for them.
Yeah, I think at this point you're looking at the play-in team again. You're looking at an 8, 9 seed. You're not looking at that top 6. And I feel like Bill Simmons made a good point in his podcast, and I didn't think about it until I kind of went through the box score. Mm-hmm. Darvin Ham plays like 11, 12 guys. I always talk shit about Tom Thibodeau and his rotation. like 9 guys and that's it. I think there's a happy medium with the rotations.
Right.
You play too little bit of guys like Tibbs and you tire everybody out by playoffs. You play too many guys like Darvin Ham is doing with LA, and I feel like you don't get you're not getting a real feel for a rotation, not getting a real feel for a lineup because you're constantly kind of plugging guys in and out. Did they just get too many people and sign too many bodies thinking like we'll try all these guys and just see what happens? Or is like, can this work playing 11 guys in the rotation?
I think 11, I think you're right. I think 11 is a little too long. I think your rotation anywhere a solid rotation to me, in my opinion, is 9 to 10, where those are guys you can rely on. And I don't think they know who they can rely on just yet. Maybe that's something. Maybe as they get the reps in, maybe that's something that can change. But we know the Lakers. They're waiting for the buyout market to hit, and then they're going to try to execute a trade and try to move Russell or even move Reeves. You never know, but. You know how the Lakers do. But I think it's one of those things where you got to shorten the rotation to at least 9 or 10 men. But but who's going to be the guys you take out? Cam?
Yeah, I think 10 is like – I think the way I always grew up thinking of rotations, you want a starting 5 and a bench 5.
A bench 5. Or 4. All depends how you want
4. I feel like you want like you want a center on the bench, you want a power forward. I feel like you want a sub for every position. And maybe if you go 9, somebody that can kind of like LeBron, you can play 4, you can play the 3, you can play a guard. So it depends. You look at who played. Hachimura had 24 last night. Reddish had 7. Christian Wood had no points in 21 minutes. I think
it's not good.
I think we've seen the best of Christian Wood, and that was like 4 years ago. Before he got that contract and went to Detroit and became thinking like he was Jeremy Grant before Jeremy Grant became Jeremy Grant. He was heat check Jeremy Grant. So I think they got all these pieces. Nothing really works, but you got to lean on those 2 guys because without those 2, you're not going to succeed. And all you can do is wear them out by the time the playoffs come.
Yeah, but they're a buy-in market team, so we know how they're going to retool. This is what they do. This is what a LeBron team does every year.
And trade guys, because D'Angelo's contract is ripe for a trade. To move off of him at any point, which is I think they did that. I think they did that shit on purpose. I want to get your thoughts because I was against it. We had the first in-season tournament game last week. We have the second games tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the in-season tournament so far after week 1?
Competitive. The floors look egregious. All the floors look horrible to me. I think watching the Bucks on that was really bad, but I think it's okay. But it's one of those things where they concede the football a little too much. They need to go head on. We need to treat this like WWE, WCW. Don't be scared of them and just go head on. And like I don't like how this plays on a Friday where they know the NFL's not playing, and I'm not sure if the players are buying into it. The fans seem like they're getting into it, but I don't know if the players are really invested in it.
Yeah, I think them adding the money was that enticement. Like you get an extra $500,000. Like they're like, I make $32 million. What is this? What's $500,000 for me?
I'm gonna spend this on rims, like Chris Rock would say.
Yeah, like what am I doing this? I still the idea was okay because it made it feel different the regular season a little bit.
Oh, I got a question for you. I got a good question for you. Mm-hmm. We saw what happened with the WNBA with the Commissioner Cup. Well, that used to be a prelude to who wins the championship up until this year, where the Liberties won, but then they got the breaks beat off of them by the eventual, 2-time champs. Is this something where, like, let's say Boston wins, which I'm going to say right now, I think Boston's going to win this whole in-season tournament. Now, if Boston wins, is this going to be like motivation for the Bucks or the 76ers or whoever comes out the West? Be like, hey, we know who the team to beat is. If we see them again, we're going to handle our business. Is that how we should look at in-season tournament, or is that just on a crapshoot?
I think that's wishful thinking.
Oh, definitely.
Like you said, I think you have some players and some teams. I think the younger teams are going to be more up for it.
I think so too.
The Bulls, the Nets, the Bulls-Nets game last week, that was a great, crazy game. The OKCs and the
Kings,
the Sacramento's, they're going to be up for it because this is big for them. They're going to get that in-season tournament banner up there and be like, see, we did that. I think the veteran teams going to be the ones you got to sell it on because they're like, we don't want to play LeBron on a Friday night against, against Utah.
It's funny you mention it because I was watching the Knicks and Bucks game. I was in a bar in Austin, and the Bucks did not seem interested in that game at all. Like they were really trying to throw that game to the Knicks. And if it wasn't for Randall not wanting to go back on defense for not getting the ball, they might have won that game.
I mean, first of all, the Bucks floor, I looked at the paint and I'm like, their paint looks like the flag of the Bahamas. Like, I don't know what the hell the color scheme was about, but that floor looked awful. And the Bulls, that red, holy shit.
That was pretty bad.
My God.
That's pretty bad.
I want to give it a shot. I want to go, okay, this is what it is. They're trying something different, which doesn't really happen in a lot of leagues, right? Baseball had the All-Star game that meant something. And, the NBA All-Star game is no longer the fantasy draft. Now it's going back to East-West. So they're trying to do something different. I just don't think maybe I need 2 years of this to buy in. But I think it just adds something else to pay attention to, something else to follow, and something else I don't have time to think about in my day with 2 kids and a full-time job.
There you go.
There's just too much shit to think about. So I want to get to the Knicks. I'm going to hold for the Knicks a little bit. Is there any team right now that you watched and like, damn, they're really good? I didn't think they're this good so far this season.
If you would ask me this last week, I would have said the Celtics. But since you asked me this tonight, I'm going to say the 76ers. I didn't see this coming. They're pretty solid. Embiid looks like he's right off of his MVP season. He's continuing that going on. And even with the distraction of getting rid of Harden or even back then worrying about him, it's been clicking on all cylinders. With Doc Rivers not there as well, maybe Maxey is the guy they really should think about propping up as that second-tier All-Star because I think he will make the All-Star team this year.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that leads right into the topic. James Harden got traded while we were gone, and obviously we didn't talk about it when it happened. I was thinking about calling you for the emergency pod, but I'm like, is James Harden?
2 years ago, he was worth the emergency pod.
Exactly.
Going to the Nets, he was worth the emergency pod.
When he went to the Nets and played with Kyrie and Durant, I'm like, yeah, we're getting on in a half hour. We're doing this right now. But it's James Harden now. We don't give a shit. But the trade itself, the Sixers sent Harden, PJ Tucker, Philip Prusev to the Clippers for Marcus Morris, Covington, Nick Batum, who I forgot was still in the league, KJ Martin, a 2028 unprotected first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, a 2029 pick swap, and an additional first-round pick from OKC and their 800 picks they got in the first round. I feel like, and you watch Harden with the Clippers, and he really doesn't add anything to the team.
Nope.
I feel like, once again, like the Ben Simmons trade, Daryl Morey figured out, like, if you really want him, you better come strong.
Considering that they was only competing with themselves, no one else had any indication that they wanted him.
They gave up a 2028 unprotected first round pick. In 2028, you're not going to have Leonard. You're not going to have George. You're not going to have Harden. You traded SGA. Trey Mann will probably still be there because that's be the only guy you have left. But that pick is going to be a good pick, and they just said here. The OKC pick is neither here nor there because they're going to be good now, and they're going to be good for years.
Yep. You know what it is? It's the Nets. It's the Nets 2.0. Barclays Center's open. They wanted a competitive team in there. They're going to open this new arena in Inglewood next year. They want a competitive team. I don't think it's going to be that competitive, but whatever. So I think that's what the Clippers are banking on. They want to look good going into that new arena. They want to be competitive this year and next season. And I think long-term, they're not thinking about long-term right now. They're just thinking about, putting people in the seats for the new arena and having a team that could possibly sneak up on somebody in the West. And I don't think that's what the Clippers can do right now. Currently.
No, and you have ball-dominant players. You have a Harden who called himself a system.
Yeah, he did say that.
I don't play in a system. I'm a system. I wanted to go, what? Like, the fuck are you talking? What? Like, you haven't been a system in 5 years.
He looks at his MVP trophy and thinks he's still that guy.
And then you have Paul George, who he needs the ball in his hand as well. Kawhi can hit or miss, but you want to get Kawhi in a flow when he plays.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Westbrook, and then Harden and Westbrook tried this before, and it didn't. It failed miserably in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, let's run it back with you coming off the bench. So there's gonna be times when you have Westbrook and Harden on the floor at the same exact time, two guys who need the ball. That's why Westbrook's coming off the bench, because the Clippers bench is garbage. So why do you put Westbrook on the bench where he can just run around for 5 minutes?
It's bad tape up there.
Yeah, and I get what Ballmer wants to do. I know Steve Ballmer wants a competitive team to open the Intuit Center and the Wall of Sound and the college, whatever the hell he talked about the other night about the arena. But you mortgaged everything for literally a rental, because I really don't foresee Harden re-signing with the Clippers. As much as they think he's going to re-sign with them, he's not. So he gave up everything for a rental. And to go for this year, when the West is probably the strongest it's been in like 5 years, top to bottom. So I think the Clippers got duped. Maury's like, if you really want to go there, I'll talk to him. And he was like, he wants to go here. You need him. What do you got? And he said, we'll give you this. Maury's like, okay, no, we'll give you more. Okay, that's cool. And
so why don't you put the Clippers in the totem pole of the Western Conference? Because I think they're playing team.
I think that'd be great. I think they're 7 or 8. I don't think they're in that top 6.
Lakers and Clippers in the play-in tournament. That'd be great.
Yeah, let me look at them. I'm trying to get the standings up real quick. So this is the order right now of the Western Conference. You have Denver, Dallas, Minnesota, Golden State, OKC, Houston, Phoenix, New Orleans, Sacramento, then the Clippers, San Antonio, Lakers, Portland, Utah, Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm gonna say Memphis is better than 1 and 7. I think they're trying to figure out this Marcus Smart thing, and before they get Ja back in another 16, 17 games, they're better than that, so they're gonna go up. I think Utah's a little better than 2 and 7, although they don't want to be better than 2 and 7. I think they're gonna move up a little bit.
Okay.
Portland's gonna suck. We talked about the Lakers. Mm-hmm. San Antonio, based on last night, they're gonna suck because they're trying to figure out they're just rebuilding. They got to start over. Sacramento's better than 3 and 4. New Orleans is 4 and 4. I think they're going to get better because Zion's around if he's healthy. Phoenix is not a 4 and 4 team.
They're going through the motions. They're going through the early season motions.
Houston's going to fall off. OKC is where they should. OKC's going to be a top 5 team in the West. Golden State's good. Minnesota is. I honestly don't know about Minnesota. I'm still kind of trying to figure Minnesota out.
No, actually, I think Minnesota's going to be good. I think they're going to be good. I think they have the right. They figured out what to do with Towns.
Well, here's a question for you, because I almost feel like they're winning in spite of Towns right now.
Okay.
Do you foresee them getting rid of Towns and saying we can get rid of him and get a better piece in here that fits better what we're trying to do? Because I feel like Towns is still unhappy in Minnesota right now.
So you're saying Towns and Randall? That's what you're saying?
Oh God, I would love Towns for Randall. God, get rid of Randall.
I think that's the direction. I think that's the direction we're heading, because I think Embiid's not going anywhere, and I think Embiid's not going anywhere, and I think Giannis is not going anywhere, and I think eventually the Knicks' attention will turn towards Towns.
If we can get Karl-Anthony Towns to get rid of Julius Randle, I would love my life at that point. Watching Julius Randle play ball is the most frustrating.
It's painful, man.
And I was watching at a friend's house last night, and literally, I think every time Randle touched the ball, my intake of high noons increased. And I think by the third quarter, I was feeling pretty good, because he just frustrates the hell out of me watching him play ball and getting double teamed, trying to muscle his way in, bringing the ball up, even though you got Brunson and Quickly on either side of you. I got it, waving him off. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. It's crazy. But yeah, I think the Clippers they're a playing team. They're going to be that 7 through 9 range with this team. I find it's just a terribly constructed team.
If they were a superhero movie, they're the Suicide Squad, because I don't trust any one of them. I wouldn't trust them with my. This is why you gotta build organic chemistry, and I feel like Harden was just a cancer. It's a cancer wherever he goes, and he has a track record. But hey, this is what they wanted.
And it's like and I get it. You want to win now, right? You don't have a lot of time left with Paul George. You don't have a lot of time with Kawhi Leonard.
That's
You
on
brought
them.
them in to compete. You wanted to not just get to the playoffs. You wanted to advance deep into the playoffs and possibly win the championship. I understand that, but God bless Ty Lue for thinking he could take this on, because it's not. Westbrook, Harden, Leonard, Bones Highland.
I forgot about Westbrook. I forgot all about Westbrook.
Bones Highland thinks he is the second coming of Adrian Dantley. It's crazy how good he thinks he is, and he's not that good. Like, he came out of VCU like he was, Christian Laettner, Player of the Year twice, and I'm like, who are you? And why are you talking so much shit? I don't get it. So, Josh Primo, Paul George, Terrence Mann, PJ Tucker, Norman Powell, Zubac, who I forgot was still on the team. Zubac is still one of the most terrible basketball players I've ever seen. And then Mason Plumlee, who I forgot was there too. Like, wow. This is not a good team. And if you think they are, I don't understand it. And I don't don't know. I don't know. Last thoughts on Harden.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see if he proves that he's really the system as he say he is. But after his week in New York, I would say otherwise.
Well, the team that really surprised me so far, oddly enough, and they're not playing great. Brooklyn.
I think Brooklyn has a lot of good parts, and eventually they have to figure out
what parts work.
What parts work, and who we're really going to build around.
Well, I think the problem becomes now, you have Cam Thomas killing it, scoring 30 a game. Now he's out for 2 weeks. So you lost your scoring for 2 weeks because he's down. Mikal Bridges has struggled a lot the first 2 weeks of the season. He has shot terribly. Their defense has gotten better, and you see it because, like you said, I think the parts they have, like, you have guys like a Dorian Finney-Smith. Bridges plays good defense. When they get Cam Johnson back, that's going to add defense and offense. He should be back soon. And they're down without Claxton, and they're still playing good defense. I think when they get those players back, it's going to get better. I think the scoring is going to be the problem for them long term. There's a gnat around here. Yeah. The scoring is going to be a problem long term because you're depending on Cam Thomas to put up 25 a game, and that's not something you want to depend on.
I got a scary proposition for you.
Oh Lord, let me hear it.
Do they bring back Russell to be their point guard?
Who's their point? Wait, Dinwiddie's their point guard right now, right? Okay.
Dinwiddie for Russell, because I feel like the Lakers have used Dinwiddie. He's a heat check guy.
Actually, wait. Technically, Dinwiddie is not their point guard. Ben Simmons is their point guard.
Oh, forgot about him.
Ben Simmons is the point guard. That's which I. Okay, let's talk Nets for a second.
Okay.
All right. I get it. I get that Ben Simmons has an issue with shooting, and he has the yips. I think he has the yips right now.
Yeah.
I've never seen a professional basketball player in any league, and I watch a lot of Canadian basketball over the summer. They have a good league up there. I've never seen a professional basketball player pass up wide open shots 10, 15 feet out than Ben Simmons. It is scary how scared he is to shoot the ball. He just does not want to shoot, but he dunks, and he's like, yeah, all right, okay, you made a dunk. You're like 8 feet tall. I get it. But it's on offense, it's 5-on-4. And I feel like, can you sustain that? If you're a coach, can you really say Ben Simmons is in my final 5-minute lineup? Not so much defensively, but offensively, because you can't trust that.
Can't trust that.
It's and he's putting up crazy numbers. He's putting up, I'm gonna bring it right now, 6 assists a game, 10 rebounds a game, 6 points a game. So 6, 10, and 8.
He's doing everything outside of scoring for you.
Yeah, and his defense is great. He plays good defense, obviously. That's what you can get from Ben Simmons. But
this is why he's still in the league. He does the little things good.
I've never seen someone so afraid to shoot a basketball in my life. It is.
You just got to put him in a position not to shoot. That's it.
It is
scary. It's scary.
So Mikal Bridges, Royce O'Neal's another player who played really well. Dennis Smith Jr. get a second life with Brooklyn. Like you said, there's all these random misfit toys put together, and Jacques Vaughn's just kind of figuring it out, and he's really positive, and we love each other.
They're just a floor general. They're a floor general away from being a really good team.
So Dinwiddie's averaging 10 a game. And then you have Lonnie Walker averaging 16. Mikal Bridges at 20, but it's a real quiet 20. Finney Smith is 13. Day'Ron Sharpe's getting a lot of playing time, which is a scary thought because you don't have Nick Claxton. Day'Ron Sharpe should not be playing a lot of minutes, but he has to because they don't have a lot of size. What's their ceiling this season, Brooklyn? Because I think they're not going to be in the top 6. They're not a top 6 team. But
they're definitely a playing contender.
That was my question. Are they a playing team, or do you think there'll be one of those teams that won't make the playoffs, but they'll be a tough out every single night?
They're definitely gonna be a tough out every single night. They're well coached, but I think their ceiling is the play-in tournament.
And I don't know, you live around Barclays. Does anyone give a shit still about the Nets?
Well, I won't say not really, but I feel like there's more. The optimism is there because the cancer is gone in the Kyrie. So it's like this is that back to that feel good Nets team from before KD and Kyrie came. It kind of feels like that. It's like, okay, we know they don't have a high ceiling, but we're gonna root for them because they are blue collar guys that come to work and just want to, they just want to play ball. Which I think at this point the fan base will appreciate that.
The Kenny Atkinson Nets before all hell broke loose. I see that. Now to the Knicks. They blew out San Antonio last night. And I think we have to be very honest as Knicks fans, as journalists that we both are.
Yep.
San Antonio sucks. So we cannot sit here and be happy about the Knicks blowing out San Antonio.
However, Wemby did drop 38 in the Suns and back-to-back wins. He had 2 wins against the Suns.
And then came to New York and didn't score until the third quarter.
I think the overrated chance was a little harsh by the New York crowd.
Well, he came out. I don't know if you saw the interview he had during the practice early in the day. And he said, what did he say? He said, I thought it would be bigger.
Oh, damn. I know he said that.
He said that about 3:00. I'm like, just wait. When everybody got in, got a solid crowd. You got Spike up front. Spike was dapping. Spike was dapping quickly the whole night. It was crazy. Like quickly went right to Spike every time he made a shot. It's a different environment. I'm sorry. Playing in San Antonio.
And he didn't play college ball out here. So it's like you come into the Garden for the first time. High school players get intimidated, let alone, professional athletes.
Look at the Big East tournament. Big East tournament, guys go there like, Naismith Players of the Year candidates, and they choke because it's the environment. It's the atmosphere. You're in the Garden. He choked last night. I'm going to put it out there. He did shoot a lot of threes, which I'm still trying to figure out why someone with 8-foot wingspan shoots so many threes. But that's the point.
Because you see Porzingis doing it. That's why.
Yeah, Porzingis is good at it, though. So the next 5 games, Charlotte, Boston, Atlanta, Washington, Charlotte again.
They had a tough early schedule, by the way.
Listen, I think of these 5, they could win 4 of them. I think they can go 4-1 in these next 5.
They played Boston pretty well. Going back to last season, they match up pretty good with them. So you're right. I could see that might be the one loss, or it might be a surprise win. But I think they should handle the business against Charlotte tomorrow.
So, and the one thing with the Knicks too, you're always going to get they score terribly. Like they got to work. They have games where they're killing it, but defensively they're second in opponents' points per game at 102. They play tough defense. I think Mitchell Robinson's playing the best basketball of his career right now. I think he might have figured it out. Are they good enough for a 6th seed and avoiding the play-in?
Let me see. Philadelphia is probably, I think, is clearly going to be a top 3. So then it becomes Miami, Cleveland, and Knicks. So I'll say yes. I'll say they're definitely good enough to be a 6. They're good enough to avoid the play-in. Definitely.
Well, Cleveland, I think, I feel like Cleveland's still trying to figure out what to do with Donovan Mitchell and then Jared Allen. Like, you have a lot of size and you can't really play the big guys together, so you gotta space them out somehow.
I still think the Knicks are better than the Hawks. I don't care what the Hawks record is.
For Trey Young is shooting terribly, which is a bad sign for them because for Atlanta to succeed, they need Trey Young to hit 6 threes a game and to score 25, 30 points a game.
They're not a good offensive rebounding team like the Knicks. So it's like that's gonna be problematic if you're not shooting well. Good luck on the glass.
And defensively, they're not good either. So that's the other thing. They can't stop anybody. So your star player's not shooting well. You don't play on defense, and you can't get second chance points. You're shot, especially in the East, where this is rebounding. That's all the East. Listen, I'm going to say yes. I'm putting my fan head on. I think we can get a 6. I think we have enough. I think the ceiling is
4 or 5. I think 4 or 5 is where they're probably going. Yeah.
I do think they need to figure out what they're doing with Dante DiVincenzo, though. I feel like there's not a real role for him yet. Who does he play well with off the bench? Like, Quickly's ball dominant. He's not going to touch the ball a whole bunch. Obviously, you're not starting him because you got Grimes and you got Barrett. So you can't start. Obviously, Josh Hart's not starting, so you can't start DiVincenzo over Hart. Hart doesn't need the ball. Quickly does. You got to feed Hartenstein occasionally because Hartenstein wants the ball as well because he works well in a motion offense. I think once they figure out what DiVincenzo can do and how to kind of work him around and who he plays with the best,
right?
I feel like we're a lot better. I think we're just trying to figure out a lot of stuff right now and like who's what. And I could see the day though they start Brunson and Quickly at the 2 guards.
Really,
Brunson. I can see Brunson, Quickly, Barrett, Randall, Mitch as your starting 5.
And then DiVincenzo and Hart coming off the bench as your backcourt.
And Grimes as your defensive stopper to hit them the 3-and-D guy. I can see that happening because quickly off the bench is 15 points a game off the bench, great. But
Quickly won that money. He playing for that money.
And Quentin Grimes is not a starting shooting guard. I'm sorry. Quentin Grimes is a bench guy. He's that 3-and-D person. I think him and Hart together off the bench defensively would kill teams like at Boston when you have, either Tatum or Brown off the floor. Because Boston's starting to kind of stunt how they play until you don't see Brown and Tatum on the floor a whole lot throughout the game until the final 4 minutes. So I just see here goes Bruce. Hold on. Hello, Bruce. Welcome to the party. Knicks a playing team. I was waiting for Bruce.
I disagree. They're not a playing team. They're a little bit better than that.
Listen, we can let Bruce talk. Bruce was proven wrong by the Liberty over the summer. So let Bruce get it all out and let's roll. He also says, Nets best team in New York.
I don't know about that. But I am pleasantly surprised how well the Nets are playing and how hard they're playing.
Yes, Bruce, we had a whole net conversation about 5 minutes ago. We were very pleasantly surprised with the Nets. I still have an issue with Tibbs' rotations. I'm always going to have an issue with his minute distribution. And
when they're going to get rid of Fournier, Jesus. I mean,
I don't know if it's a matter of them waiting for this crazy great offer that is never going to come to them, but it seems like they're waiting for something. And it's like his last year's contract, so obviously he's not doing nothing. Like he's not resigning. He's not coming back. I think it's a player option after this year.
Right.
Just move him. You can get a second round. You can get a second round pick for Evan Fournier right now. If you're expecting anything more than that, you're high. And I don't know what you're smoking. There's no way you're getting. Let me get a first round pick, or let me get a good rotation player for a player who has not played really in a year and a half.
I'm surprised hasn't inquired about him. Denver.
They need shooting. They need more shooting. Especially with Jamal Murray out for the rest of the month,
right?
Maybe longer. So Denver. Listen. In 2K, I almost traded Fournier for CD Osman. That's how desperate I was to get rid of him in the video game. I think that's a fair trade.
They probably let that trade go through too.
No, it was Fournier and a second round pick for CD Osman. I'm like, that's a fair trade today in real life. I would make that trade today if I was the Knicks. Osman gives you a body, gives you a long body. I do want to talk. There's another topic I want to look at too. I had it written down. Oh, Phoenix. That was the other team. Phoenix isn't this bad, right? I'm not like losing my shit. They're not this bad.
They don't have a bench.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Because
they wish they had a Tibbs. They're so bad. They wish they had a Tibbs rotation. I don't think they're 6 deep.
Well, that's what happens when you trade everybody away to make a move, and this is what you get. This is what's left over.
Mm-hmm.
The minimum players who are just there because they're ring chasing, and that you don't trust. I think that's the other key. They don't trust any of those bench guys to go out there and really sustain. I think that's what early in the season was just a rant when Booker and Beal was out.
Right.
You see the rant just ball dominated completely because they probably said we can't give the ball to anybody else on the floor right now. Nope. Do not pass the ball to any of them. Don't do that.
They miss Ayton too. They miss Ayton too.
Do they?
It would have helped if they had him.
It would have helped a little bit. The other thing I want to talk about was Giannis last night. I've never seen Giannis that angry in his career. He was running after refs. He got ejected. He sat in the crowd
down
protesting the ejection. Like, is this a matter of kind of like how coaches get ejected when they get the team fired up? Was this one of those things where Giannis needed to get ejected just to show his team, like, guys, let's kick this shit up a little bit. Let's play a little harder.
It could have been that, but I definitely felt like he did this. That was a technical because he glared on him after he did the dunk. And I think, it's one of those things where he was trying to motivate this team, but he also felt like, a little embarrassed letting his team down by getting ejected.
Yeah. Actually, Bruce makes a good point. I'm glad he said this. I was thinking it. The refs have been bad. The refs have been really terrible this year.
But that was a taunt. He was taunting. He
glared. Like, it was a glare. Like, we're grown men, ladies and gentlemen. Like, it was a glare. Let's play some ball. Like, you're giving taunts for the too small thing. I get it. The glare, like, I don't get it. I think Giannis really wants to show this team because I think they're trying to figure out what they are. I don't know if they understand who they are right now because the Lillard trade in the grand scope wasn't a great trade.
It wasn't.
They lost a lot defensively.
They lost their defensive backbone, especially perimeter defensive backbone in Holiday, to upgrade to somebody who was never a defensive stopper.
And Adrian Griffin just seems like he's trying a lot of different things.
Did they hire the right coach?
Has a Seton Hall fan, I would say yes, because Adrian Griffin is a Seton Hall guy. Has a journalist, a basketball journalist, I would say wrong guy completely. Nick Nurse was out there looking at you. Yeah. I feel like Nick Nurse coming in would have made a lot more sense than Adrian Griffin. Terry Stotts would have made more sense than Adrian Griffin. Like, I feel like it's and Adrian probably had a really good interview. Okay, so I figured out those things when guys who shouldn't get jobs get the job. They're really good interviewers.
Yeah.
So he had a crazy great interview probably. And he said, we like this guy. Kind of like when the Mets just got Carlos Mendoza from the Yankees. And I'm like, why the hell? And it's like, he had a great interview. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, cool. So I think Adrian Griffin probably interviewed really well, showed that he knew what he wanted to do and had a plan. And that's what they wanted. They just wanted a capable coach who had a plan of how to handle Giannis, because obviously Dame wasn't even an option yet. How do you handle Giannis and Chris Middleton and Lopez and all that other stuff? And he had a plan. I think Nick Nurse would have been a way better selection for them, especially how close they are. Yeah. You don't want a rookie coach with this team. You want a coach who's experienced, who has a ring, who knows how to do it. So, in my opinion, I think Griffin was a terrible choice.
Okay.
Bucks going nowhere, according to Bruce. I'm not saying that yet. They still have Giannis. I think Giannis is the X factor constantly.
What if the Bucks do get bounced out in the second round and don't make it to the conference finals?
I mean, they're not firing Griffin.
We're not gonna fire him, but it's like, how much of this losing can he take?
I mean, Giannis signed the extension already. That gnat is annoying me. Giannis signed his extension, so he's there. You got Dame for another 2 years with a 1 plus the player option, which you'll take because it's going to be like $60 million that final year. This is the team you have, and they really can't. They really can't add to it because I don't think they really want to get close to that tax number. So they're kind of stuck with what they have right now. So you make the best you could. They're gonna take a Phoenix route and just kind of load up on minimum contracts and load up on the buyout market and just see what happens.
Good luck with that. I just think I think they're behind Boston, and I think Philly's gonna make a play. I don't know who they're gonna make a play for, but they're gonna definitely those picks they got, the stuff they got from the Clippers. I think they're gonna package that for somebody. Maybe somebody. I don't know who, but I think Philly's not done making moves.
Middleton should be middle gone, according to Bruce in the chat. And Bucks have no bench, and Dame can't shoot in the playoffs. I disagree with that because Dame time is a thing. He has shown in the past that playoffs he can succeed. His problem was Portland's team just sucked, and beyond the first round, he couldn't get past it. Right, that first round matchup was always like that 4-5 weird matchup, but it's a toss up. Once you get past that, it's like against the second seed, against the 1 seed, and they always got blown out. So I don't think it was so much Dame in Portland, more like the team just sucked when he played someone well.
So what's the nickname for the Bucks with Dame and Giannis? Is Freak Time they called it?
Freak Time, yeah.
Oh boy,
It sounds like something happens at Magic City at about midnight, but
wrong city for that nickname.
So tonight there's only 2 games on, and I actually want to get your input because I complain about this with the NFL. Indiana up by 3 over Milwaukee. That's in the third quarter.
Is that on TNT?
And no, NBA TV tonight because the 9:30 game, Orlando Atlanta, is happening in Mexico City. Why are we still trying to expand out to other places? Like football playing in Germany. I don't understand that reason. Like,
listen, we'll never see Manchester U versus Manchester City playing at MetLife for a meaningful game where it counts. I don't understand why we go so hard over there overseas to expand our sport, which is already expanded. We have plenty of international players over here. I don't know why they need to go to Mexico City.
Well, there's a G League in Mexico City, right?
Exactly.
I thought there's a G League team. So you're already there. Yeah. you're already in the conversation. Same thing with NFL. Look, I get England's Jacksonville second home. I get that. But we don't need England, Germany, Mexico City. They want to do Paris, is a rumor. Paris is a place they want to do a football game in a couple of years. It's like they don't care about American football. They don't care about American basketball, really. I think basketball more than football in Europe, probably. Mm-hmm. But let's just sorry, Bruce. I got to put what Bruce said in chat because it makes it, the cartel money is strong.
It's strong, man. It's strong.
It is strong over there. El Chapo's money's still good. So
send us basketball. We don't care who's playing. Just send it to us.
So it sounds bad. Like, don't take it overseas. Don't let them see us. But I don't care. It's a 9:30 game on a Thursday. It's Atlanta. It's Orlando, Atlanta. Like, I don't care. And you pick 2 terrible teams for this game.
Yep.
You didn't pick LeBron to go to Mexico City. You picked
he wasn't going.
No, you picked Trae Young and Paolo Banchero to play. It's like, great. Thanks for hooking us up in Mexico City for one night.
Terrible.
So over to college, and listen, obviously this isn't a football show, but the Michigan thing is crazy. I want to get to that later. Dartmouth in the Ivy League, they're pushing to unionize. We saw this at Northwestern. We saw this, I think Duke might have talked about it. Is it time for college athletes, and I got one sitting next to me and my nephew, college athlete. Is it time for college athletes to unionize?
I think so. I don't know how successful they're going to be, but I think so.
It's too much. It's so much money being just thrown around, and the players still aren't getting it. There was a tape of Lane Kiffin, old Miss football coach, yelling at a player and kicking him off the team because the player took 2 weeks off because the player was just burnt out mentally. He's like, I got to go home, and he went home, got his mind right, I think Kiffin summoned him. The coach said, "Coach, want to see you." He's like, "I'm not coming back right now. I'm not ready." Player came back to Ole Miss. Kiffin went off. The player recorded it, and Kiffin just went off. That's where we are now. If you have any type of issue that's not football related, that is acceptable to the coach, they can just say, "Yeah, you're done. You're not mentally strong enough." I think he might have called him a bitch.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure Kiffin called the player a bitch. So I think unionizing, and I'm pro union all the way. I think it makes sense for some of these players.
it does, but it's one of those things. But like, they got to know how to execute, and I feel like we know what the NCAA is. They're the mafia. They're gonna find ways to like really kick this in the nut this real quickly before it can really matriculate to anything.
Unions. Bruce says unions sometimes are a big scam. I disagree. I think there are unions who don't really do anything to take your dues, but it's a real small number.
We're not talking about 32 BJ.
Yeah.
We're not talking about them.
Player never told the team or the school he had a mental thing, guys. Kiffin was wrong for saying those things, but player was wrong. Listen. Yes and no. I think the player should have told the coach and told the team, "Hey, I'm not feeling it. I need time off." I also feel like him telling Kiffin and the coaching staff would have meant they would have kicked him off right away. I think in certain instances, you just say, "I need to go home," because they're not going to let you go home. They're going to say, "You got to stay here, deal with it, and work it out." I just think in this situation, especially in this time frame with everything going on around us in the world, have some grace. Give the players some grace and some empathy at some point. It's not that easy to be an adult and to be a person of color in the world, let alone a college football player. There's a lot of shit going on. Right. So yeah, I think it's a lot happening. So college basketball starts as usual. We don't give a shit until about January, but we'll talk about it a little bit now. Listen, the first week is just like Duke versus insert Division II team here. Mm-hmm. I watched a Duke game. I watched Miami, Florida, and I watched what was the other team I watched? I watched another team. Oh, Michigan State loses James Madison. That was enjoyable to me after what Izzo said about players transferring and that. So that made me feel good watching Michigan State lose to James Madison. But have you watched anything? Have you caught up? Have you seen highlights?
I only saw I did see LSU, the females, lose. I didn't watch that game. I was like, oh, championship parade's over. Time to get back to work. That looked bad.
I think if you look at women's college basketball this year, I think besides LSU, besides Iowa, I think Rutgers is going to have a better season with their second-year coach. I think Baylor's going to have a good year this year. As much as I dislike Gino Auriemma, I think UConn's going to have a good year. If Paige Becker stays healthy for one season and doesn't get hurt again, I think she could have a big year and bring UConn back. South Carolina's always going to be in the conversation. I think Kentucky's going to bounce back year because they lost the name's eluding me. They lost a player last year, so they kind of had to rebuild. They kind of rebuilt, got it back together again. I think you're looking at women's college basketball this year is going to be a lot more competitive than men's college basketball this year.
Oh, I mean, I definitely see like 7 teams being really competitive. Like, if we don't have a clear-cut championship winner, like you said, we can't discount Iowa. They're going to be in the running. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be, which is good. It's good for when the women's basketball progresses and we don't have like the 1 or 2 dominant teams. It makes for a better tournament, which did better than the World Series in ratings, by the way.
Yeah. Bruce made a good point. So Haley Van Lith left Louisville, star player Louisville, to go to LSU to join the party with Andrew Reese and a couple of players that my wife taught in middle school. They went to LSU. Wow. They got scholarships. So shout out to them, whose names I can't remember either because I'm old.
Join the club.
I am amazed, and I don't like Kim Mulkey, LSU's coach. Right? Kim Mulkey is, the whole Brittany Griner thing. She was Brittany Griner's coach at Baylor. She didn't say anything about Brittany Griner. Didn't show a lot of support. Didn't show any support. I didn't hear her say a word about Brittany Griner when she was in Russia. And she just annoys me. I think she's getting close to John Calipari level of annoyance for me at this point. Just seeing her in those frilly jackets and the bright colors just annoys the hell out of me. And I'm like, she's getting to that point. So when LSU lost, it made me feel good. I felt bad for the ladies, but it made me feel good that she lost.
It's a good wake-up call. Good way to start the season.
Listen, and I'm telling you right now, South Carolina, Dawn Staley was like, I think Sports Center went to their practice last week. I think it was St. John's in South Carolina. So they saw Patino, then saw Dawn Staley was like, we're ready. Because I think they lost to Leah Boston, and I think she's like, we're not just Leah Boston. We're going to kill it this year. And I think she wants to prove that. We lost a player of the year. We lost probably one of the best players in South Carolina history, arguably.
I don't think anyone penciled in LSU to win the title last year. They kind of caught a break. And then I think they're going to be in for a hard reality this season where a lot of teams are coming for them. And
I talk about Rutgers women. Rutgers men, they lost. So good start for Rutgers basketball team. Seton Hall's going to have a tough year. I think Rutgers going to have a tough year. St. John's look good. They play Stony Brook, so who cares? But Patino was up out of his seat yelling like a psycho, like he always does. I think of those three teams locally for us, I think you're going to see St. John's probably better than Seton Hall, Rutgers. I think UConn's going to be competitive, but I think Marquette. I watched Marquette opening night. Marquette looks crazy. Marquette's going to be good. Creighton's always good. I think Butler's going to have a bounce back year in the Big East. I think you have the Big East kind of on tier with the ACC right now as the best basketball conference.
Man, I got to start watching college basketball early this season.
Well, wasn't my intention. Wasn't my intention to watch as much, but I was home and I'm like, let me just check it out. I'm like, FS1 had like the college tip off, so they had all the games like kind of like a red zone of Big East teams. So I was watching that, and then I think South Carolina opened up in Paris? I think they opened up overseas as well.
Why are we sending kids to overseas?
It's the middle of the semester. Like, let's go overseas, guys. Don't worry about classes. You're good. You're good.
Don't worry about that. Yeah.
You do work when you come back. It's all good. It's all good. But like I said, we will care more in January. When we get closer to conference time, I know I'm going to the Gotham Classic at Prudential in December.
Okay.
So I don't. Rutgers is playing in that one, so I see them up close. Never going down to Piscataway because it's too damn far to drive to Piscataway. So I ain't going down there. FDU has a TV deal with the Yes Network, so we see FDU beat Purdue. It's for 6 men's games, 2 women's games.
Good for them.
And then the first game of that contract, FDU versus St. Peter's, the last 2 upset winners in the NCAA tournament.
Well, that needs to be televised, so I get it.
So it's gonna be. Listen, I think I wrote an article about it. I think in our area more so because we don't have I feel like before we had, I think Channel 9 locally had Seton Hall for years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then for us in New Jersey, we had the New Jersey Network that showed Rutgers basketball, men's, women's, and football. Okay. We don't really have a local sports station that shows like strictly one team. Yeah. Like UConn has SNY, but it's kind of But I think we need more local college sports on TV here. You're in a major media market, and FDU doesn't really get a lot of play. St. Peter's doesn't get a lot of play. Columbia pops up on SNY occasionally. Yeah. There's a lot of Fordham on MSG lately. I don't know what happened with Fordham. Yeah, Fordham soccer, Fordham baseball. I'm like, all right.
I miss going up to Fordham College to cover some of their games.
That's the Bronx, right?
In the Bronx, yeah.
Yeah, they want to rebuild that arena, but there's no space.
There's no space. Unless you're going to go put it near the zoo, but there's no space.
Put it in the zoo.
Yeah, in the zoo.
Just cut off part of the Bronx Zoo and just put a new arena for Fordham right there.
Yep.
Jason, as always, great show, bro.
Likewise.
So next week we'll be back on Thursday. I know Bruce is going to say something in the chat. Next Thursday night, 8 p.m. here on YouTube. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel. We have the Sebastian Maniscalco Live Free Laugh Hard that's coming up. Tom is just recovered from his crazy bout of COVID, which he was in the hospital for. So that should be back soon, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Sebastian Maniscalco and Why We Hate Him. That's the episode. Live Free, Laugh Hard. That's going to be on here. And then Jason and I will be back next Thursday. Happy New Year, Bruce. I hate you. Next Thursday night here on YouTube. Jason and I will be back. Thank you so much for watching, listening. If you're listening to the replay on Spotify or whatever. For Jason, I'm Kahlil. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Peace.
This has been The Box Out with Kahlil Thomas and Jason Kortner. Subscribe now for the best tri-state area basketball talk.